Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Je suis Guzet d'Ors. I'm in Cayenne, French Guiana. As I speak now, I'm the only one walking up this road towards the old port, Passerelle de Vieux. This used to be the main port in Cayenne, but the main one has announced itself in another area in the Remire-Montjoly zone. Some nice wildlife down here, and it's so still here. You can definitely tell it's an old port. And this is going to be my first stop in Cayenne as I perform my tour of the capital of French Guiana. Aujourd'hui, c'est très très chaud. C'est peut-être 30 Celsius en janvier. And this would have been the old fishing port in Cayenne. And we're now looking out onto the Atlantic Ocean. And there is absolutely nobody here. Absolutely nobody. Except this car coming now. In 1974, as I leave this port, de Guyane was the port built in Remire-Montjoly, which is around an hour's walk from here, maybe up to 2 hours. From here, my next stop is going to be a site further into the town, which I can see straight ahead of me here. It's called Fort Seperou, and it looks like a bit of an incline up towards it. I'm not sure how to get in there or around there, so I'm just going to walk around and see if I can find a sort of suitable place. I'll give you a few facts about French Guiana. The capital, Cayenne, has a population of just over 60,000, and the entire country just under 300,000. And you may recognise the name Cayenne, as it is a spice, and the spice got its name after this capital city, as it's thought this is where the spice originated. The country is sort of at the top right of South America, and the east side spills onto the Atlantic Ocean. The country above me is Suriname, which is where I've come from, and the country below me is Brazil, which is where I'm going to. But that's not for this video, that's for another one. One thing that Cayenne itself is known for is its market. This is open on Saturdays, Wednesdays and Fridays. I have already visited there. It's quite a interesting Latin American themed kind of market. I spent quite a lot of time there, so I'm going to put that in a separate video. 95% of the country is consumed by the Amazon rainforest, and I'm actually in Europe, as this country is considered European land and an EU member, one of the 9 outermost states of Europe. I wasn't sure which way to find my way to the Fort Seperou, but it looks behind me like there's some interestingly painted steps, and opposite me there's some interesting objects as well. I've seen a few of those. So I can see up ahead, Mo Contento Cayenne. Not sure what that means. It looks busy up here, some kind of photo shoot's going on maybe. So here it is behind me. Mémorial du Mont Seperou. Very short, steep walk up here, which I quite enjoyed actually. And it looks like quite an interesting entrance into the fort. I'm not sure if the fences here are supposed to be sort of left open. There's some masts up here as well, so try not to stay too long. So I'm now up at the place that I showed you from the old port front. You might have seen this red monument here. This place is called Seperu, named after an indigenous chief who ceded the land. The wooden structure, fort, monument was built in 1643 as a protective fort looking over the old port as well as Cayenne, the city on the other side, here behind me. And here you can see an example of an old wooden structure on the top surface of the fort. And as I leave the area, you can see some of the indigenous artwork, graffiti on the walls behind me, which is quite a nice touch here, as well as some coloured lines down the road. I'm not sure what the meaning behind this is. I believe I read somewhere about the different colours representing the different languages and tribes in the areas in the 17th century across the whole of French Guiana. Whether it's anything to do with that, I'm not sure. I'm at the Place Léopold Heider, and this nice calming fountain behind me is the Montravel fountain, and it's so quiet here. The weather is, you could call the weather paradise. It is quite hot, but it's really, aujourd'hui c'est dimanche, it's Sunday today, maybe that's the reason it's quieter, but I'm just going to go and sit by this fountain for about 5-10 minutes and listen to the water splashing. So I've just left the sort of square behind me now, and I'm heading towards La Poudrière. I'll tell you a bit more about it when I get there. Alors, je suis ici maintenant, à mon derrière, behind me, or at the back, I'm not sure that's the right way to say it, is the powder magazine La Poudrière. In 1989, this was listed as a historical monument. However, in 1864, in the wartime, this was a storehouse for storing munitions safely. I'm going to walk up and take a closer look. So I'm here at the entrance now. I don't know if you can just about see the letters on the old stoneware saying La Poudrière, Espace Culturel. I think as of August 2024, this closed to the public. I'm going to walk closer to the door just to have a look, see if I can see any of the inside. So you can see some bars there, but it is all closed off. Nevertheless, cordialement is very cordial around here. I mean, I'm having a very good day today because I haven't seen one tourist, and I've seen about, I don't know, just a few locals, to be honest. So I've got all this space to myself, and there is a nice park in this area as well, around the back of the building. Pour peut-être une pique-nique, je ne sais pas, peut-être un fromage, just behind there. Unfortunately, there's no exit back onto the main road, so I've got to walk back the way that I came here, which is only about 5 minutes, and go to my next stop on Cayenne. Ici, c'est le préfecture building. It doesn't look as nice as the buildings on the main square, and it's a seat of the prefect of French Guiana. It was originally built as a monastery of the Jesuits, and in 1762 it became the headquarters of the colonial government. Since 1946, it's being used by the prefecture. I get to walk through this nice park. Again, there's absolutely no one here. Je ne sais pas quand est toutes les personnes aujourd'hui. I'm now probably 2 hours into my walk around Cayenne. Je suis seulement peut-être 2 heures à la marche pour Cayenne, and I wish I'd brought some water actually now. It's not that bad, but it's just so hot here, and there's not really much of a breeze. The streets in Cayenne are, some of the buildings are painted really nicely, and they look very nice as well, with shutters and stuff. But I was actually just gonna sort of say about the streets. They're very sort of conform and straight. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the crossroads here, but it's just straight. Je suis ici maintenant à la cathédrale de Cayenne. The name is Cathédrale Saint-Sauveur, and it was opened in 1861 It looks like it's all closed off, it's all chained up, but I'm going to do the classic walk around just to double check, see if I can have a look inside. So I'm definitely in the back street now of the cathedral. You can see behind me it's a little dark alleyway, and it does all look closed off, unfortunately. Malheureusement c'est fermé, but it's a nice building. Et maintenant je vais à Place des Amandiers, and now I'm going to the Place des Amandiers. Should be just a few minutes walk up this road behind me. I'm nearly there, but just a side note, if you're visiting Cayenne, il n'y a pas trop de mosquitoes qu'en Paramaribo. There's a lot less mosquitoes here than in Paramaribo. If you're coming from Suriname and you're concerned about mosquitoes, and you're choosing between Cayenne or Paramaribo, and the deciding factor is mosquitoes, then Cayenne is the answer. That yellow sign says "Site en travaux," which means there's some works going on here. Luckily this gate has been left open, and like I say, I think this place is just sort of a park. I'm just hoping that it looks out onto the Atlantic, and I think it does. I can see there, so I'll go and show you the view from there. There's quite nice birds making chirping noises here. Alors peut-être un autre pique-nique ici. And here, which you can walk on, there's some nice sort of old, looks like layered rock formations in a sort of nature surrounded area in the city, in the capital city of French Guiana. And just about in the distance there is the Atlantic. Et maintenant, c'est seulement un stop. Prochaine, c'est une petite église, it's a small church, one more stop before I conclude my tour of Cayenne. For today at least, there may be more coming. And just a quick side note on Place des Amandiers, this place I've just visited here. I thought it would be a bit more upmarket, a bit more spectacular than it actually is. So, I mean, even if the works weren't going on here, then I'd still say it's, to an extent, skippable. Having said that, a thought's just come into my head, because I hadn't translated Place des Amandiers. And I think that means almonds in English. So I'm just walking back in to see if there are almonds here. So there's a sort of a hut, well, I want to say, maybe it's a bandstand with boards on the outside, and I'm just looking at this tree. Now, I'm no tree expert, so I'm actually looking for sort of green nuts or fruit. So I can see here, just there above my fingernail, those two green growths of fruit or nut. I think that actually may be almonds. I'm pretty sure almonds are sort of soft green on the outside. Obviously the actual almond itself. Oh, here we go, there's one on the floor. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do to A, see if my translation is correct, that Amandier is almonds, I'm pretty sure it is, and B, see if there are actually almonds growing here. When I get back, I'm going to try and open this, and as promised, this building here is the last one of interest during today's tour of Cayenne. It's the Église du Septième Jour, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Cayenne, and it's just opposite the supposed almond trees. Et aujourd'hui c'est fini. J'espère que tu aimes the video. Okay, so I've actually found another one. This was the first one I found. This is another one I found. So I thought I'd try and crack it open with my foot while I'm here. I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't look like an almond, but it kind of looks a bit rotten inside. I'm going to stick to my previous plan and see if I can do this one when I get back. Bonjour, this is a separate day in Cayenne, and on Rue Madame Payet there is a museum on the Guyanese, the French Guyanese culture, and at number 54 on the street is a free museum, and a bit further up is a paid museum. So I've just gone on the free museum, and I'll hopefully put some pictures in this video of what you can see inside. Maintenant, après le musée, je marche à Pointe-Bouzaret, and now after leaving the museum, I'm going to Pointe-Bouzaret. It doesn't really look very interesting around here, but it's somewhere behind this building here. I think it's just basically going to be looking out onto the ocean, similar to the Place des Amandiers yesterday. Alors, je suis ici maintenant, so I'm here now at Pointe-Bouzaret, and it's actually very pleasant. It's more pleasant than the Place des Amandiers yesterday. Yesterday? That's a good word. I think probably if I walk over there towards the end, I can see the sea up there, or the ocean. And you can see the big trees here as well. And I can also see that something's been falling off the trees on the floor. I think it might be coconut. So yes, as you can see here, there's some young coconuts that have fallen off these trees. There's not many people here. It's very sort of tropical feel here. I can see over there a man standing on that rock. Hopefully I'll go up there in a minute and see what the view looks like. So I'm now on top of a rock, and you can just about maybe see in the horizon the ocean. And what I've noticed during my short time here so far is that the water is actually very hard to sort of get to, because you can see here there's greenery. There's probably around maybe a third of a kilometre's worth of greenery and bushes and marshland and rocks before you can actually reach the ocean. This is the park behind me, which looks very nice and sunny and calming. And as I leave Pointe-Bouzaret, I say Bouzaret, on my digital map there's an accent on the E. When I came in here there's no accent, so it could actually be Pointe-Bouzaret. But as I leave here, I have noticed my first mosquito bite from French Guiana on my lower left leg. And this 100% came from when I was at the museum, and an Australian man from Melbourne, now living in London, approached me. Well, actually he didn't approach me, I helped him out because he was looking for a bus to the border to Suriname. So I actually offered some advice because I came from that way. And having spoken to him, we ended up talking for probably around 20 minutes, half an hour in the end. And where I was sat in the museum, there were lots of tiger mosquitoes around me, and hence I have been syringed.